Hey, it's John F. Gately broadcasting to you from beautiful Plymouth, America's hometown. You can call me Jack. And we're looking forward to going over to today's headlines for you. Going to cut to MSNBC when they go live and also to CNBC. But the first thing we want to talk to you about is the news out of Vermont that an arrest has been made in the shooting of 3 Muslim students in Burlington, Vermont. Let's go to CNN.
The man accused of shooting 3 Palestinian college students is being arraigned in Vermont. 2 of the injured men are known to be in stable condition, while the third sustained more serious injuries, according.
In fact, the third young man has been apparently shot in the spine horrifically and may or may not walk again. Awful thing that happened in Burlington, Vermont.
Police also say that suspect you just saw on that video, Jason Eaton, shot the men without saying a word beforehand. Attorney General Merrick Garland, he just announced that the Justice Department is now investigating whether this attack was a hate crime.
Now, that's where I want to pick up on this, because there's actually no evidence that this is a hate crime. None. Now, granted, the 3 victims, and they are victims of this awful crime, were Palestinian. But there's absolutely no evidence that the motive for shooting them was because of their Palestinian identity. None, absolute none at this point. Now, you know my position on hate crime. I'm against the overall concept of hate crime at all. I think that we should not criminalize thought. We shouldn't criminalize thought. If this offender did this, he should be punished under the law that prevents or punishes you already. And, well, Jack, it's because he thought that way. It should be a higher. Why don't we just go to the higher standard for all of these types of crimes? Every crime that fits under that category, let's just max it out to that higher standard anyways, rather than have it be a hate crime and enhancement. Let's have all crime that fits into this category relative to the actual activity that occurred. Let's prosecute it at the higher level to start with. And you wouldn't need the hate crime enhancement that so many people are calling for right now. Understand that if you're pro-Israel, which I am, you must actually go out of your way to condemn this attack, especially if it ends up that his motive was to hurt Palestinians, which is highly suspected, but there's absolutely positively no truth to that at this time. Furthermore, if we go to Stop Anti-Semitism website or Twitter page, meet Jason Eaton. He is the monster who shot 3 Palestinian students in Vermont. And all credit to Stop Anti-Semitism on this on their Twitter show for identifying Mr. Eaton as a monster. Allegedly, again, we don't know that he did it, but theoretically, the first thing he said when the police came to his door is, "I've been waiting for you," effectively. Mr. Eaton apparently is not of the Jewish faith or of the Palestinian persuasion either. He has nothing to do with the Jewish people or nation. But that didn't stop anti-Semite Simi and Hayes Kandra of Simi Hayes Beauty from falsely labeling the shooting as a Zionist hate crime on their Instagram story. So apparently these are 2 beauty, if you want to call it. I don't even think they're that pretty. Beauty influencers who are endorsed by Sephora, and they've already labeled this a Zionist hate crime. The thing is that nobody knows why he did this yet, and Mr. Eaton does not appear to be of the Jewish faith. There's no evidence of that either. So, yes, he may have did it or done it, and it's an horrific act, but we don't know why. And it may be totally, absolutely unrelated to anything in the Middle East. We just don't know at this point. You know, so many people are out there jumping to conclusions, which I understand, but we really need to have some self-control of our own to wait till the facts come out before we jump to conclusions. There are also many people that are in kind of the Jacinda, you remember her from New Zealand, mold, that use any crisis to expand the power of government, any crisis to expand the power of government, whether it's this thing in Vermont or something that might happen, let's just say, in Ireland. So let's cut to the stupidity of the day. Is this the stupidity of the... No, we have another stupidity of the day. It's even worse than this. But let's go to the hot take out of Ireland about why laws exist. We are restricting freedom for the common. This is for your own good. Here is Irish Senator Pauline O'Reilly. At least she has an Irish name, unlike their own prime minister, who is not actually really Irish or half Irish or something like that. He's of the Indian descent. So, but anyways, let's hear Pauline O'Reilly on Ireland's hate speech bill.
When you think about it, all law, all legislation is about the restriction of freedom.
Actually, the United States Constitution is not about the restriction of freedom. It's about the restriction of government. The United States Constitution is not about limiting individual rights. It's about limiting government.
That's exactly what we're doing here, is we are restricting freedom, but we're doing it for the common good.
We're doing it for your own good, right? We're restricting freedom. Yeah, this is almost like Jacinda wrote this speech.
You will see throughout our Constitution, yes, you have rights, but they
you
are
have rights
for the common good.
Sort of.
Everything needs to be balanced. And if your views on other people's identities go to make their lives unsafe, insecure, and cause them such deep discomfort that they cannot live in peace.
Now, wait a second. If your views cause someone deep discomfort, the thought in between your ears, if literally what you think makes someone uncomfortable, that, according to Senator O'Reilly, is a thought crime.
Then I believe that it is our job as legislators to restrict those freedoms for the common good.
You see, my view on this is that if you're a horrifically hateful person and you have a horrifically hateful ideology, I believe, I'm old school ACLU on this, I believe that you should allow the Nazis to march in Skokie, right? Because if they don't have free speech, then nobody else does either. And so while we might be disgusted by what they might say, we still have to defend their right to free speech, because if we don't defend theirs right, then who else has it, right? So, yeah, I mean, that's a traditional liberal, classical liberal viewpoint on things, in that we want to call it free speech absolutionism or whatever, but you have to let people have their point of view. And therefore, even if no matter how disgusting or vile it might be, you can then go out into the marketplace of free ideas and defeat them. If you just drive them underground, then you make the you make defeating them harder. You make defeating them harder. If they are disgusting and vile, let them speak in the public square. Let them be identified. Let them be reviled. I think for who and what they are. And defeat bad speech with more good speech. That's my feeling on it. And it's just disgusting how so many government authorities are looking at this situation in the Middle East and saying to themselves, how do we get more power? How do we get more power? That's what they're into. Let's see if we can bring up, hold on a second here, quick second as we toggle back and forth. I think they're talking hate crimes here on MSNBC. Let's listen to the stupidity here.
From it. What can America do if there are sentiments, rising sentiments, anti-Muslim, anti-Arab, anti-Jewish sentiments all over the world? What can you do as law enforcement or as a government to try and insulate your society against this type of rising sentiment?
Well, it's quite difficult, and I'll go back to the lead-in with the former Governor Christie talked about Trump and his intolerance. I would actually push back.
We're going to get to that in a second.
I mean, of one group he was tolerant towards, and those were hate groups. And so that we saw over the last 4 years really have grown in number. It's legitimized hate, the spread of online mis and disinformation.
All right. So clearly, obviously, at MSNBC, it's Trump's fault. We could have seen that coming, right? And actually, that was the next thing I was going to play. It's like they're reading my mind here, because the next thing I was going to play was this clip from Chris Christie, who indicates that it's really all Trump's fault. It's really all Trump's fault. Let's pull that up a little bit here. Here we go. Here he is talking to Dana Bash, blaming all of the anti-Semitism and any of the anti-Palestinian sentiment as being effectively Trump's fault. Here we go, Chris Christie.
Well, look, when you show intolerance towards everyone, which is what he does, you give permission as a leader for others to have their intolerance come out. And so
this just goes to show how useless the mainstream GOP is, Chris Christie.
So, intolerance towards anyone.
Like anybody from driving over a bridge in New Jersey, maybe.
Encourages intolerance towards everyone. And that's exactly what's going on here. And that's been going on for quite some time, not just with Donald Trump, but with university professors on some of our...
Wait, Trump being intolerant is the same as university professors being intolerant. Okay.
Our most elite campuses in this country, with university administrators and presidents who have been unwilling to stand up against anti-Semitism on their campuses, most particularly. And there should be no campus in this country where a Jewish student is afraid to leave their dorm, a Jewish student is afraid to go to their classes, a Jewish student is afraid to go to even have a...
Remember, Trump was a huge ally of Israel.
Meal in the dining hall. I mean, that is outrageous and it's wrong. I think governors of those individual states should be sending state police to make sure that they're protected on those campuses. And we need to have university presidents who are willing to...
But clearly it is Trump's fault. Thank you, Chris Christie. You know who else is blaming Trump? Everyone's blaming Trump today if they're not trying to grab more power for the government. Here is a clip from David Rubin's show this morning.
He is running to end American democracy as we know it.
This is Joe Scarborough over on the televised mental institution known as MSNBC. He's freaking out because the polls are looking good for Trump, and Trump's a mean orange man.
He's not a normal candidate. He is running to end American democracy as we know it. He's an authoritarian who a court...
Now, these are the people who... These are the people who wanted to lock you in your house, and they're calling Trump the authoritarian. Not that Trump was the best on the pandemic. He wasn't the best on the pandemic. Fortunately, we had some governors that were okay. Not the governor here in Massachusetts, where I'm from, Governor Baker. He was all in on big government solution. Let's go back to MSNBC.
Is something that needs to get done, but all of it is something we're not going to see done in the near term because of the political environment we're currently in.
You'll remember, Mary, when Joe Biden announced that he was running for president, he talked about the soul of the nation, right?
From the basement.
It was about Charlottesville. It was about what we've become. It was about this nurturing of hateful environments and how that was going to change. And sadly, it hasn't changed. And then we've got, as Frank just said, social media. I mean, we've got Elon Musk in Israel right now.
If it hasn't changed, whose fault is that? Wouldn't that be Joe Biden's fault? Wouldn't that be Joe Biden's fault if it hasn't changed? Aren't they saying that Biden has not been successful in changing the tenor of the country? I mean, it's been how long now? We're almost at what? It's been 2+ years. 2.5 years since Biden took office. Isn't it now on Biden that the tenor of the country hasn't changed? I would think so. I would think so. So earlier in this show, I was talking to you about the winner for stupidity of the day. And the winner of the stupidity of the day is going to go to Education Secretary Miguel Cardona. Miguel Cardona, for just the absolute stupidest situation of the day. Kristen Collins, Collins for Texas. It doesn't get more of a joke than this. You know what? I just got to play it for you. You just got to play it for you. Let's turn up the volume.
With every governor we met with to make sure we're going to set up follow-up calls with every governor we met with to make sure we're available. As I think it was President Reagan said, we're from the government. We're here to help.
That is not what Ronald Reagan said.
There are resources there. There's technical assistance there, and there's.
All right, we're from the government. We're here to help. That's not what Reagan said. No wonder why the American education system is so messed up, and no wonder people like Vivek want to get rid of the Department of Education. Let's remind everybody what Reagan said in his famous press conference on August 12th, 1986. Remember press conferences? Well, this is what Reagan said, actually. Oh, here, we got to cue it up a little bit. Here we go. All right, ReaganFoundation.org.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Reagan didn't say, I'm from the government, I'm here to help. He said the 9 most terrifying words are, Secretary Cardona. So, yeah, the huge difference, I guess, when you choose to selectively quote President Reagan. What an idiot. He is the idiot of the day, Secretary Cardona. This is the education. So he's literally in charge of teaching your kids. And, yeah, no wonder why our country is screwed up as it is. No, it's not a big mystery when you hear that, is there? Well, the invasion is on. Here it is. Here it is on like Donkey Kong on a train headed from Mexico into the United States. Trainloads of migrants from the interior of Mexico headed to the U.S. to compete for jobs and housing with American citizens. It's an invasion. And it's being televised. There they are, just riding on the train. Choo-choo, here we go. This is a 50-second video. Yeah, we'll zoom back out. Yeah, it's just one train car after another carrying whatever they have in the train car. And then just dozens and scores, hundreds, literally, of invaders on top of the train cars. Which brings us to our Bill Melugin tweet of the day. The Border Patrol announces it will be temporarily suspending vehicle processing at a port of entry in Eagle, Texas. So they're going to be shutting down, I think, one of the bridge entries, reducing vehicle processing also in Lukeville, Arizona, in order to redirect border personnel to assist Border Patrol with processing handling of mass illegal crossings in both areas. In other words, they don't have enough agents to protect us at the checkpoints, at the official border crossings. So they're pulling those agents off of the official border crossings, and then they're going to be redeploying those agents to areas where people are crossing illegally. Brilliant. So Tony Gonzalez from the Texas Fourth, welcome to year 3 of the Biden border crisis, where U.S. citizens who lawfully cross over the bridge are punished. So if you're a U.S. citizen and you went to Mexico and now you're coming back into the United States, you're going to be facing a big traffic jam, bigger than normal, because Biden administration has decided to redirect those personnel, as we said, from the official checkpoint to the boat ramp down in Eagle Pass, which, as you know, I've been to in August of last year. While illegal aliens are under the bridge, are rewarded. So if you wade across the river, you're going to get better service from the Border Patrol than if you went to the official checkpoint. And here comes the train. Here comes the choo-choo. So that was, we heard from Cardona. He was the stupidest tweet of the day. But up now is Corinne Jean-Pierre. And or Corinne, I think that a couple of people call her. And let's see what she had to say. She was faced with a Peter Doocy question today.
But why do you think it is that when you say the economy is improving and President Biden says the economy is improving, that a majority of Americans outside of this building are not buying it?
So here's the thing. When we walked into this administration, the economy...
Guess whose fault it's going to be?
Economy was on a tailspin. That is the fact. Because of the last administration, because of the Trump administration, because of how they dealt with...
See, it's always his fault.
Dealt with COVID and the pandemic, because they didn't have a comprehensive plan. The president came in, he passed the American Rescue Plan, which was able to get the economy back
Inflationary.
back on its feet, which is able to open up small business.
Your inflation has gone up almost straight up since January of 2021.
Businesses were able to open up, schools were able to open up, and we understand what Americans have been feeling.
Schools were able to, everything was able to open up because eventually people got natural immunity.
Over the last 2-3 years. It's going to take some time. We get that. It's going to take some time, but it does not take away how we have seen the economy getting back on its feet. We actually had to fix the problem that we saw that
and it's been now 2.5 years. Haven't we fixed the problem enough? I mean, remember now, inflation. The inflation is still way higher than the Federal Reserve 2% target. And don't forget that other inflation that happened last year when we were closer to 9%. That doesn't just magically go back to zero. Inflation is a cumulative thing. It's a cumulative thing. And I know, you could argue, oh, the Thanksgiving meal is cheaper this year. Yeah. Okay, sure. It didn't go up as much as it went up the year before, right? And if you think that anything is cheaper than it was, in 2020, you're mistaken, grossly mistaken, absolutely positively mistaken. By the way, Biden made a speech today, and he was talking about inflation and the cost of living and how much things cost. I just want to take a note here of the absolute fire energy that he brings to the end of this speech. Here he is here.
So just keep at it. We're going to lower prices for average Americans all across this country. Thank you, thank you, thank you. See you.
He's going to keep at it. I hope did they schedule this during his nap time? Let's hear that again. He's going to keep at it. He sounds like he's really energetic.
So just keep at it. We're going to lower prices for average Americans all across this country. Thank you, thank you, thank you. See you.
Oh my God! We got to hear it again. Just one more time.
Keep at it. We're going to lower prices for average Americans all across this country.
Oh my God! The whole low energy quote has never meant more, has it? Really? Thank you so much. I'm glad you guys joined us today. By the way, one other story. Apparently, we have a federal judge that has some scruples because the Beyonce founder, I'm just gonna say Beyonce, crypto exchange. By the way, I'm a big crypto Bitcoin. Yeah, I favor that. But when there's a scam, we have to crack down. And in this case here, this guy CZ wanted to go back to the United Arab Emirates, where he's from, UAE. Of course, he was just going to go back there before his sentencing so he could straighten everything out with his family and his kids. I mean, that seems very reasonable, right? I mean, he would totally come back, after a week or two, he'd come back and get sentenced, right? Yeah, of course he would. He wouldn't stay there. No, of course, because we would just extradite. There is no extradition treaty with the United Arab Emirates. So, I mean, how stupid do you think? This is how stupid this guy thinks Americans are. And maybe we are stupid, but he literally wanted to get permission to go back to the EAU just to check out his family and make sure everything was fine before he served his 18-month sentence. Yeah, no. He's not going to, fortunately, at least for now, the judges said, no, you're going to stay right here in the United States awaiting sentencing. You don't have to be in jail while you're waiting, but you're not going to allow to be going back to United Arab Emirates where there's no extradition treaty. We might be dumb, but we're not that dumb, right? I can't believe like how much media people gave a lot of attention to CZ in his request. They actually took it seriously to go back to his home country before sentencing. What a stupid move that would have been.
Process to determine whether people should receive pardons or, commutations. And it was run out of the White House in a far less structured way. And
new details emerge over Trump pardon on last day of office.
Jonathan Braun was an unusual candidate to receive clemency.
Okay, stop it. Make it stop. Listen, thanks for joining us. I'm John F. Gately. You can call me Jack, broadcasting you from beautiful Plymouth, Massachusetts. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Be right there.